I'm going to talk about the country risk. Each country, in accordance with their specific economic, social, political, or even natural and geographical, generates a specific risk level for investment, which are made in this risk specific group of conditions and is known as country risk, which is assessed in accordance with the knowledge that its investor has such condition. Any assessment of risk to express the level of probability to suffer a loss, before which there will be a greater or lesser need to reduce or avoid the consequence of the loss. When the risk refers to a country and whose measure is an entity that seeks to place their money there, either as a financial investment loans or productive, the until we seek recognize through the profitability the level of risk the country. If the probability that expects to invest no more than reward for taking the risk of not being able to recover their investment, the entity will seek another alternative to invest. The country risk in economic concept has been as academic and empirical through the application of methodologies of the most varied nature, from the use index of market of the MB index emerging countries of JP Morgan Chase up system that incorporates economic, political and financial. The MB is defined as the emerging market bond index, which reflects the movement in the price of the securities traded in foreign currency. It is expressed as an index or a margin of probability on the implicit interest bonds of the United States. The importance of taking into account the country risk, the credit operation grew rapidly with the development of foreign trade multinationals, countries and above all international banking. The bankers soon discovered that the customers in other countries means to series of the new and different problems to do so. They must study the political, economical, social, and even psychological needs of the country with which tries to establish relationships. The show also study the existing legal and fiscal aspect in other nations. The most common hazards of transactional credit operation arise from the possibility that the foreign debtor, at the time of the magnitude of the transaction, made it impossible for regular reasons or the outside of the control or responsibility, transfers the funds corresponding the lender. In view of this, the term and sometimes erroneously considered to be synonymous with risk of transfer. The letter, however, refers only to on the aspect of the country risk. The general concept includes other risks such as expropriation and nationalism. The country risk is an indicator that reflects the country's ability to comply with the terms agreed to with the repayment of a foreign debt, either capital or their interest. The more it grows, the level of country risk of a nation, the greater the likelihood that enter in moratorium and payments call default as a result. The other effort was a price and rate of return of the Ecuadorian bonds trade of international markets. This prepares rate to factors such as the situation in the country or the price or oil. The country risk was impact is minimized by high authorities of the regime consider some variables The economic problems and political stability converge to configure this factor that seeks to be measured. According to the measurement, the country have bit rating and now located in B. Thank you.
My name is Michelle Villota. I am going to talk about travel routes. The personal effect of the passengers, the following items, whether new or using are clothing, toiletries, grooming items, jewelry, costume jewelry, personal ornaments, and ornaments for the home. Both machines, photography, material and print or manuscript documents. Process, food, during sharing or vacuum paste, food and artists for children. The instrument equipment and portable tools typical of the professions or trade of the passengers, whether new or using, and regardless of the reason for the trip proving that this work is really be justified by the professional card. Maximum one portable tool for domestic use in the case that is not specific to the profession or occupation of the passengers. Medication, vitamins, and food supplements. Technical assistance for seniors or people with disabilities, whether passengers or family members whose condition corresponds to the fourth degree of consanguinity and second degree or affinity. Apparatus for measuring blood pressure, temperature, and glucose. Maximum 2 for each per passenger or family group. Equipment per passenger or family group, suitcase, bag, or other item used to carry lunch. Maximum leave domestic and pets. Maximum 2 musical instruments without their accessories, and maximum 2 music accessories that are not with their main musical instruments. Maximum 3 items used in different sports and or accessories that can be transported normally by a person. Maximum 6 digital memory for carrying computers and mobile devices. Maximum 10 video games under tools as cassette CD or similar. Portable electric personal car or grooming device. Maximum 3 portable electric household appliances per passengers or family group. Also considered as personal effects are up to 1 new and 1 use unique of the following items: cell phones, photographic camera, video recorder, digital multimedia receivers, and portable imaging, satellite phone, electronic agenda or personal computer on tablet. Portable global positioning equipping GPS for personal use, electronic calculator. If the passenger or family group is positioned of more units that dots indicate in the present list, they will be considered taxable goods, therefore its value will be part of the taxable base of the tax obligations. In case of the finding 2 or more units of the item indicated in the preceding list, regardless of whether the second unit is new or used, it will be considered taxable good, therefore its value will be part of the taxable base of the tax obligation. Note: it is also considered as personal effect that accompanying the passengers a good or group of goods and not specific about it, and that has no restrictions by volume, quantity, or say whose value does not exceed $500. And there is a limit of value to be able to dispatch the taxable goods in the international arrival room. Note: in the case that the taxable good is constituted by a good kept or sent whose value exceeds 2,000 United States dollars. Thank you. I am going to talk about interest rate. What is an interest rate? The interest can be defined as the amount of money paid for the use of capital borrowed by the person who receives it. The amount of the money paid for interest will depend on the amount of capital loaned, the duration of the loan, and the rate of percentage. Therefore, when calculating the interest, three factors must be taken into account: the capital on loaning, the time or duration of the period during which the interest is calculated, and the rate of percentage with in the price that is paid for having borrowing capital for a period of time. Types of interest rates. And there are two types of interest rates: passive or recurrent rate, and active or present rate. If it is a credit or a loan, the interest in the amount that the borrower must pay to the borrower for the use of that money. The interest rate sharing for credits or loans is called the active interest rate. The interest rate is expressed in percentage for and generally in annual terms. The interest rate always has reference to the currency in which the capital was lent. The unit of time in which interest rates are generally expressed in the years. If you want to calculate the interest for periods less than 1 year, you must calculate the interest rate equivalent to that of the years, but in proportion to the periods of interest. Thank you.
Hello, my name is Cristian Maximiliano Moyo. I'm going to talk about the subsidies in Ecuador. But first, we have to know what is subsidy. A subsidy is a benefit given to an individual, business, or institution by the government. It usually formed in a cash payment or tax reduction. It is given to promote a social good or an economic policy. We have a lot of subsidies here in Ecuador in order to improve the economic to help poor people. So, one example of this subsidy is the tank of cooking gas. Here in Ecuador, we can go to a store or a distribution person distribution person to buy a tank of gas, it costs of $2.50. If we go, for example, Peru or Colombia, it costs almost $30 or $25. But government subsidy this product because there are so many persons that don't have enough money to pay it. So another subsidy is the gasoline. For example, we have diesel, fuel oil, and eco país. For example, the last year when the ex-president Rafael Correa said that he wants to eliminate the subsidy of the gasoline because there are so many persons who win with this. For example, factories, enterprises, persons, but persons, it's good for them because they don't have too much money to pay the gasoline. So factories or enterprises have the money because they eat gasoline represents a lot of cost for government. So we have also a human development bonus. Development bonus is order to help the persons who lives in the countryside, and it helps the poor people who lives in the city or outside the city. So also we have a lot of subsidy that is electricity, but when we have the plan of the increase hydroelectric, but it fails sometimes. I heard about a news that we sells electricity to Colombia in low cost, but here in Ecuador it costs 5 cents more than Colombia. This year, the actual president, Lenin Moreno, said that he wants to increase the amount of agricultural development subsidy to 10 million. So it is designated for seeds in order to increase the agriculturally, in order to export too. So it will help to the economy. To increase productions, something like that. Also, we have subsidies in when we go to a hospital, a public hospital, because we don't pay medicines, we don't pay the doctor appointment. That is so many subsidies have Ecuador. For example, I read a newspaper 2 months ago, and it said if we have to access a credit in the FNI, we have to eliminate some subsidies because there are some policies of the FNI. So that's all for subsidies. Thank you.
To talking about if taste affecting understocking. The collection of taste in Ecuador grew 160% in the period 2007-2015. This is explained by an increase in rate, the creation of taste and modification to existing taste. Currently, 30 taste apples in the country, 9 shared by local government, 12 by the International Revenue Service, 5 Solidarity Contribution Tariff, and the FODINFA Development Fund for Children, to be paid by importers, and finally there are 2 contributions that are not college. State, Social Security, and Utilities. it must be taken in account that the special consumption tax is still in use for casinos and games of chains, but in practice there is no collection because the activities and others because it's prohibited. Additionally, telecommunication and water were created to be taxes which ACE. In torture and land to taste relate to environmental promotion. These are non-returnable. For example, plastic bottles and vehicle pollution. The list of tastes in force in Ecuador when municipal tax on urban percently, rural property tax on alcabalas, tax on vehicles, and others. The five internal rent service income tax. Tax valued added that international operations and imports. That of special consumption, international operations and imports. Environment tax, vehicle and pollution. Reimbursable tax, plastic bottles. Tax on motor vehicles, currency exit tax on asset abroad, and others. The rights, royalties, patents, mining, conservation utilities, rural lands, contribution to comprehensive cancer care, solidarity contribution on the patrimony, solidarity contribution on profits, and solidarity contribution on real estate and rights, representing capital owned by non-resident companies. Solidarity and contribution of 1 day of remuneration and others. Contribution to person is VAT. Importers. The importers, DIT, FODINFA, and others. And in discussion, social security and contribution utilities. Thank you.